Okay, I'm starting to record.
So they're gonna be able to see the screen, but they won't be able to see me.
Well, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start the diversity training. If you're in the room, and you're not gonna do the diversity, maybe move to the back if you would, please. So, Arnie, it's all yours.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Rick, Walter, William. I wanted to do a little bit of talking about diversity. It's not going to be a full-blown diversity training session, but as we mentioned earlier, we got the I say 5 out of 6 flotillas got the diversity award, so we'd like to get a full 100% participation this time. So I thought maybe if I could just give you a little bit of presentation about diversity, not much, and then a little bit more into the application process itself and how to answer some of the questions. Those questions came up in last year about not sure how to answer some of these things. So I'm going to go through the application a little bit. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because it's in the afternoon and we all just eat and we'll probably be asleep in about 5 minutes. Anyway, I'll try to make it as quick as I can. So we'll get right with it. And that's okay. Okay. As you all know, diversity is all about acknowledging the differences that each one of us brings to the table and being able to create an inclusive environment for all of us to work together and use our talents that we all have. And then we recognize that the value that each one of us brings in being able to put together a team that can work on a whole broad range of things that we're assigned to do and work on. And in addition to recognizing that, it also helps bring value to the individuals as they contribute their efforts to work together. And it also gives a person that's being able to contribute a sense of ownership and value to the team as well. So now there's a saying, and I'm not taking credit for this because Mother Teresa actually said it, says, I can do things that you can't, and you can do things that I can't, but together we can do great things. So we need to look at ways of working together as a team, and there's no telling how far we can go when we all put our heads together and all of the talents that we all bring. So when you get ready to do the application, you're going to need to go to the website and go to the forms warehouse. Hopefully everybody knows where that is now, and click on the PDF form. And the PDF form is 7064, NACO 3-star, and use the PDF form because that's the one where you're going to fill it in. You're going to find in that form 4 different goals that need to be reached. And that's what they are: create positive environment, value all members, promote individual success, and expand outreach. And then within each one of the goals, there are 6 action items, of which you only have to complete 4 in order for the application to be accepted. 4 out of those 6 goals under each goal. 4 out of the 6 action items under each goal. And they're fairly straightforward. Once the form gets completed, whoever fills out the form, if it's the FSODV or if it's someone else that's doing it for him or whoever, then you send it to the unit commanders, either flotilla or division, and have them review it, but they're not going to sign off on it. They're just going to review it for accuracy and make sure everything, and they're aware of everything that is being said is true and accurate. Now, if you don't understand how to answer some of the questions, or you have questions you need to help figure out some things, you can go through the chain of leadership and management. So the first place to go is yours truly. I will help you and direct you as much as I can. Isn't that right, Mr. Metz?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So we worked through some issues and got some answers and helped people figure that out. But if there's something that's really a problem that I can't answer, I'm going to take it up to the branch chief and on up the line. And if we need to, we'll get a NACO or the deputy NACO DV to help us out and get it figured out. Submission process. This is kind of different because you think you'd send it to your unit leader and let him sign it, but that's not the way this works. This goes directly to the DV office, and it's going to go to the deputy ANACO DVD, and that's Tracy Schultz. I'm pretty sure he's still there, as well as Porter. I don't think they've changed. I think they're still there. And so you're going to fill it out, get it, get your PDF finished up, scan it, and then email it directly to tracy1@yahoo.com. Since this is a national award, it's not supposed to be processed through the chain of leadership, sent directly to national. Okay, so get back here. So the application period for 2021 starts right now. It started on January 1st. So everything that you did in 2020 is going to go into that form for the application for 2021. Now, it has to be submitted by the 30th of June, unless for some reason for COVID, they might extend it again. We don't know how that's going to work. We don't know how anything works with COVID anymore. So there again, 30th of June. And if there's a reason that it has to be extended, they should let us know. Or if you have a reason, a valid reason you think that it needs to be extended, that'll have to be approved by the ANACO DV, Captain Commander Forward, Commodore Forward as well. And that's what it looks like. I showed y'all that earlier during the meeting today. Once it's approved and everybody's that's going to get them, they will present these. You'll get a notification shortly after you send it in, it gets approved. You get an email back from diversity team, and they'll tell you it's been approved. And then it will be presented at NACON to the division district commanders, and then the district commanders will send them on down the line. Okay, so for more information on DV itself, I got a website here, and I want to take one brief minute and just take a quick look at it, because there's some things you need to be aware of if it'll come up. All right, when you get to the Diversity Inclusion Directorate, pull this page up. It's that directorate is the second one down. Just go right there, and then come over on the left side. You will see training material is a good place. And in that training material, a couple things you can look at. This one right here is a good one to do. It's a presentation. It's not very long. So if you're new to DV or you need to get refreshed on it, this is a good presentation to go through. It explains a lot about what diversity is in more detail than I went into. There's a lot of other things on that site you could use as well, but that's a pretty good one there. So if you, FC's got new diversity officers and they need to get trained up, this would be a great one for them to go take a look at and learn more about DV. And one of the things that I will say about DV is it is not just the DV officer's job. When we get in this application, you're going to see what I'm talking about, all the things that you need to be thinking about, how you meet some of these action items. And I'll explain that in a little more detail when we get there. So how do I get out of this, Rick, and go back to where I wanted to go?
Just do the X and the operation.
Well, that's going to kill the whole presentation.
No, I think I'll just kill the internet link. Okay,
okay, good. Thank you. All right, so let's go down. Well, it did kill it. Where is that folder? Yeah, I can just do that. There's the application. All right, I'm gonna bring up the application that was submitted last year by 12/4. I got permission from myself to show this, as well as our DV officer, Rob Sienna. And this is by no means the golden template to use. However, it will give you an idea of what we in DV is looking for. Obviously, the first thing is to put the flotilla DV officer's name in. So this goal is create a positive environment. 4 out of 6 things you need to get done. And it can be any of these. But these things are relatively simple. Publish at least one article on diversity awareness. We use Facebook a lot. And so obviously we could claim that as meeting that goal, okay? And then take a look at number 2, conduct one in-unit diversity member training session per year. Your FSODV should be able to do that fairly simply, just have him bring up one of these presentations and walk you through it. You know, it's an easy enough thing to do. We do that a lot. And we also stress the typical diversity terms that you hear: nationality, creed, sexual, anything. We're all about trying to use anybody and everybody that we get in to be able to participate and to bring something to the table. So I kind of throw these words back in there. If you'll notice, we used provided diversity training at regular meeting. The concepts of inclusion, regardless of race, gender, color, national origin, sexual orientation, age, religion, physical, these are all things that come out of the PowerPoint presentation about what diversity is all about. I have a tendency to give back to people their words for what they're looking for. And that's what I did here. State what we did, give them back their words. So you don't have to be a wordsmith to figure this out. You just figure it out, put it in there. I need to show you this. That little trick right there, when you fill out a PDF form, you start typing it in, and if you come back to it later and you say, well, I can't get this thing to bring anything else up here. If you click on that little box that was on the right side, then you can start scrolling through where you were and be able to see the rest of it. Okay. Now, get out of there. I'm not going to go through each one of these questions, but this one I want you to see. Create a recruiting plan and target local neighborhoods and cultures in your community of the UAOR. Okay, have you created a recruiting plan which includes a plan to conduct outreach in local neighborhoods? I don't view this as being a formal written plan. In your day-to-day operations, you go out and do PVs. That's what we relied on a lot, and PA events and things like that. So I just put it right back in here. We place information in the diverse locations throughout the community that we put PV boxes in. In those PV boxes, we put the Join the Auxiliary pamphlet in there. And that's one way you can use this to meet that action item and that goal. Okay. Okay, let's go on down. One of the units elected leaders been to training. Most every FC has completed some sort of leadership training, whether it's online or going to Aux LMS class or things like that. So just put what those are in there. Contact them, FC and VFC, find out. Okay, goal number 2 here is value all members. Again, 4 out of 6. Informal awards and recognitions. We just did that today. I'm sure you do the same thing in your hotels. Every one of us does it. When you get certificates and people get promoted for completing certain goals, and you recognize them. So that's easy enough to put in that block there. Just fill out what you did. Minimum of 2 routine communications. There again, we use Facebook a lot. Everybody's got a call tree. They should have a call tree for an emergency plan. Why not include that in there as an answer of what you did? You know, you're staying in touch with people when you have a hurricane. You got to call people, find out if they're okay. Send somebody out to find them. So that's another thing you can use to do that. Yes. Yes. Everbridge.
Oh, okay.
Everbridge. From what I remember now, they say you don't need to have a call tree anymore if you got Everbridge. But we use Everbridge still because if you need to get mass communication out to somebody about meetings canceled or whatever, then you got another alternative to do it because Everbridge is not going to do it. Okay. That's not what Everbridge is all about. Okay. Let's see. Exit interviews. All hands. But there's multitudes of things you can use, right? You know, plenty of them. They're looking for conducting exit interviews. If you have people that you're disenrolling for whatever it is, and you can get in touch with them. Sometimes you can't. Not much you can do about those you can't, but those you can, have that exit interview, whether it's over the phone or in person. Take a couple of minutes, whatever it takes, find out what the issue is, and then send it up to COLM, and you can meet that goal fairly easy. Okay, the next one says 65% of members involved in activities. So this is where you're going to have your FSOIS go in Aux data, look at the records, and figure that out for you. It's not that hard to do. I'm going to offer Tommy up to help people. Sue can help you too if you need to figure out how to do that. But he did for us, and it was fairly straightforward. So you just got to put it's completed and put his name in there. Okay, socials. This is another good one. There's lots of ways. A lot of people have socials. And it can be social time just before a meeting. It can be social time after a meeting, or both. We had a photo opportunity. And then we went to a restaurant after that and ate lunch after we got through. So we claimed that. Let's see, PV missions. We did a whole bunch of PVs, and several of us got together at a local restaurant, sandwich shop for lunch after, even during the middle of the PVs, we stopped and had lunch. So we had a couple of us there. So that's another way that we get together and meet that goal. Let's see. Goal number 3 is promote individual success. This is some of the stuff we've already talked about. Do you use a member involvement plan? If you do, great. Do you sign your members a mentor when they first come in? If you do, you can fill these 2 out. If you don't, I suggest you do. There's some good information on the HR website about that kind of information. Written goals and expectations. When I was flotilla commander, when I first joined the flotilla commander at that time, gave me a copy of my duties as an FSO. Okay, I'm sure most of you or all of you do that, so you can take credit for this. It's easy one to mark off the list. Okay. Let's see. Mentoring program we talked about. Provide adequate access to meetings for potential members with disabilities. Okay. Don't assume that when you're out doing PA events or whatever, somebody comes up in a wheelchair, don't assume that you can't get them into the auxiliary. So they can become a valuable person to you. And so when you have your meetings, you want to make sure that you've got accessibility for those individuals if you have them in your flotilla. Fortunate for us, we've got an elevator in the building, fire station, and all the ramps on the outside are set for handicap access. So makes it really. Sure.
With a Zoom hybrid meeting.
Sure. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. If you got members that can't come, you're doing
thinking
Zoom.
about that.
I'll bet you have. I think we're all back in that mode of thinking again, unfortunately. Okay. Goal number 4, the application. This one says, expand your outreach. And of course, all of us do that. When you, even if you're doing PVs, you're going out over your whole AOR, expanding your outreach to every place every business you can think of, where you're putting a PV box in, you're meeting this goal, just by being out there and putting the information out. Doesn't have to be just, hey, come join the auxiliary. It can be anything that's boating safety that you put out there is going to help meet that. Complete at least 3 outreach or recruitment activities. If you put the join the auxiliary pamphlet in your PV box, you just met that. If you go to, we're going to Bug Show right now. We got the join the auxiliary pamphlet on the table, spread out right there. And of course, everybody comes up, we're always trying to lure them in somehow and get them in. You do the same thing with VEs when you do a boat check, talk to them about joining, hey, this is great, make a great facility. Have you ever thought about doing this? So easy things to do there. Let's see. Develop or strengthen relationship and enhance trust within the diverse community of the unit's AOR. Who have you worked with? Well, I keep hitting on PV. It's such an easy thing, you know. But when you're out there doing your PVs, talk to the owner. You know, first of all, you've got to get permission to put the box in there. So why not talk with him at this time about how valuable his business is to helping us spread the word out there. And in that way, you're doing that all over your AOR. You're meeting this goal at that time. You're strengthening that relationship between the auxiliary and the business and getting the information out. The unit works to build capacity for ongoing change in the thinking of organization. What has your unit done to build capacity? Well, in this case, we always emphasize diversity in our flotilla meetings. It's one of the topics we always bring up. And so we strive to include all people in every program and event. Not everybody participates, but it's offered to them. And they can bring what strengths they can to the meeting, that goal. And so that's just some of the ways you can do that. So those are some of the things you can look at and think about. As I said before, use the words in the question to answer it sometimes. Give the activity you do and then feed them back the information in the question of how you actually meet the goal. Once it's completed, then the whoever fills it out, in this case it was the FSODV, that information has to go in, his contact information and the flotilla, and then save that PDF. I usually print it out and scan it, but you got to email it to Tracy Schultz. Okay, but once you get this done, make sure your unit lead reviews it and says, yeah, this looks good, and he can send it on out up the line. And in probably less than 2 weeks, you'll get an answer back that it's been accepted. And I think I had a mentor on this process a while back. They told me, just put something in the box. It'll be okay. Well, be truthful. Okay. Don't think you can't do this. It's very easy. And this is some, I think probably one of the low hanging fruits to getting to 100% that this division can do. It's very straightforward. I think if you have questions, please call me and we'll get an answer for you. I'll help you fill out. If you don't know how to fill it out, I'll help you fill the thing out if you want me to. I can come to your flotilla if you like and do a diversity training for you, stuff like that. I'd be glad to do that as well. Okay. Anybody in here got any questions on the application or anything about diversity? Anybody online has any questions that I can answer? So I take that as a no. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And go get them. These June the 30th, we got to get them in. Rick, you want me to turn this on?
Thanks, Arnie.
Yeah. Full screen.
Online, any questions before we move on?
No.
Okay, thank you, Arnie. Jim?
I don't have any handouts.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all. At Commander Hayes' request, I'm going to talk briefly about the disenrollment process. Probably the biggest headache for any flotilla commander to work through and actually process the whole thing and understand what's going on. Before we begin, District 7 has a unique requirement that the division commander must approve all 7035s. And there's also, there's guidance on there. It says it's optional on the form. We don't worry about what it says optional. Just everybody has to be aware that the district commander has to sign it, which means come October, November, when all these things come due, the HR officers or the flotilla commanders have very closely attention to if your division commander is going to be in town, is going to be out of town or whatever, because that's going to impact the process. Second thing, what I like to do is District 7 has put out a fantastic procedure for handling 7035s. 7035s we'll talk about 1 second. It's mostly for disenrolling, non-payment of dues, deceased member notification, and retirees, either personal decision or personal decision wants to be, they want to just drop out. The 7056 form is a transfer form to be used from one flotilla to another, transferring one person to another. The HR corner, which everybody should have access to, provides a very good template. It's all filled out exactly the way it's supposed to look like, including the handling of the certified mail receipts, because we have to get three receipts to prove that we're trying to get in touch with these people. Jack Margolis just said today that he needs division's help on processing at least 2 people that he couldn't get done before the December 15th date involved. So Commander Hayes is asking me to basically work with Jack Margolis to figure out how we're going to get this thing done before next year. But bad news is that if they're still on the rolls, you get invoice for that from National. You have to pay for this. These people could be even if it's dead wood, all right, you're going to have to pay for it. And it's a hit for the flotilla that you shouldn't have to take. Process, the way we were able to get around our process at 12-4 is that we took a look at our standing rules and says, well, you can never change them because that takes an act of God to change the standing rules. But we amended to change the standing rules and said that our dues are due August 1st. So on August 1st, the FSO FN starts sending out notices to people that you do. So hopefully at this point, before you get to this level, you've already decided what the dues is supposed to be for the upcoming year. So with that, the FSO FN starts sending out notices and telling you that it's all due by the 31st of August. Most of the flotillas probably are using September 30th to tie in with the federal fiscal year, which is October 1st to September 31st of the following, September 30th, excuse me. So there is no reason why we can't get this thing moving rather than waiting to September 30th before you start collecting your dues. Collect your dues on August 1st. On September 1st, you start writing your first letter. All right. September 10th, write another letter. September 15th or 20th, write a third letter. And so it requires a little bit of extra effort from the FN, FSO FN, but it's going to take a lot of pressure off the flotilla commanders, and then they're not going to be scrambling at the end of the year trying to figure out how we're going to do this. There are other things that we were thinking about doing, but we're running it by Angela, possibly having the division take over more responsibility for the disenrollment process. We're not sure yet if that's going to get sold, but if I've talked to some flotilla commanders, past commanders as well, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread if the division takes over the responsibility of disenrolling people rather than putting it on a flotilla commander's shoulders. And if that's the case, it means you take the financial liability off their hands as well. So, if it becomes a division responsibility, if the division screws up, well, the division is going to pay for it. So, but that still has to be changed. We don't know if that's going to be approved or what. It's just something that's, I was kind of surprised that Jack said, I need help. He's not just the only flotilla commander that's looking for help. Every one of us probably have gone through this procedure. It's a pain in the neck. It's got to get done. It's got to get done right. Otherwise, you make Angela crazy, and we don't want to make Angela crazy. I don't want to go into all the nuances of the 7035 form and the complications of not having 3 signatures and signatures of the people who would basically want to drop out or whatever the case may be. All I can tell you is that the best source of information to use is the HR corner. Pull down, it's a whole procedure. There's 2 pages of everything the HR corner covers, including the 7001 form, the enrollment process. I'm not sure if all the flotilla commanders have ever used this thing. You do not need to be an HR officer to look at it. Just take a look and start working with it. We're going to be working very closely with all the FCs down the road for the next year and see that this thing is going to have to be a smoother process for the district. We, as a division, we didn't do that well. Just all I'm going to tell you at this stage again with disenrollments. And it's not one flotilla, it's all across the board. So we have some work to do and we plan on getting it done best way we can. That's my presentation. Any questions?
This is Commodore McMiniman. Can I make a comment?
Yes, Commodore.
Yes, this will always be a flotilla initiative. It has to start at the flotilla level because they are the ones responsible for collecting dues. So the disenrollment process has to start at the flotilla level. It cannot be passed on to the division to take care of it.
I realize that, Commodore, I do,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I think
Angeline.
we could assist them a lot better than we've been doing.
Oh, sure. And the best way to do that, Angela has several online classes that she's already started setting up. So for all the new HR and flotilla commanders and even the vice commanders to attend her training sessions will be very, very helpful to them because that's going to give them the nuts and bolts on how to do this. But your idea of starting early is the way to do it. You don't wait till the last minute because when you mail them out that return receipt requested envelope, you have to allow 30 days from the time that's mailed out. So if you wait too late in the year, then you're already stuck.
Thank you.
December 15th is when it shut down.
One of our flotilla commanders just reminded me that December 15th is when Dyrock shuts down. And so does Angela and the whole rest of the district pretty much. So it shuts down. So you don't have until December 15th. You don't have until December 30th at all, because even though it's the next year. So the way we did it, the way we changed the process a little bit was we changed the date when our dues are due, rather than waiting to the end of September to start the process. So this is something that we're going to be talking to the flotilla commanders about and see if they like the idea. It worked for us and it helped us a lot. We even have some people who are really, I consider experts now, working on a 7035, one of them is a past commander. He's done a whole bunch of them, and he says he's offered to give us any advice he needs to get this thing done.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm past HR. I've always done the disenrollment form. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just big familiar with them. I do it. When our dues notice goes out in August, and it's due the 1st of September, I keep up with or I used to keep up with the finance officer. Okay, he would let me know who had not paid in September. I fill out the disenrollment form.
Right.
Okay,
Yes, that's a perfect way to do it.
all right, I go ahead and fill them out. So if there's anything and I just might want to email their disenrollment forms and say your dues are due. If you're not going to pay them, please sign them.
Right.
Put your card in the envelope along with it and send it back to us. Sign all these papers.
The card is a good point you bring up. There's a whole different issue.
You know,
We got to work on that as well.
yes, but you have the same darn people do the same darn time and push it right up to the
End of the line.
end of the line.
Yes.
Okay, and that puts a real, on a larger flotilla, it can put a lot of strain on 2 people,
Key people.
which is it.
Yes. Yeah. So, sir.
I have a follow-up question. Maybe the Commodore will be willing to shed a little light on. And that's with the transfer form 756. Commodore, some of the issues that we've had this past year, it turns out that We're getting transfer forms sent directly to the flotilla commander at the flotilla for which the person desires to transfer. And that's not in accordance with the procedures. It's supposed to go from Dyrox up north through the flotilla commander, then down to Dyrox in D7, and then to the flotilla commander, but they're bypassing that chain. And I didn't know if there's something that at your level that you might have conversations with other Commodores and let them know that that it ties my hands when that comes up, because if I try to process it, I cannot. I have to send it back to them. So we've been exchanging emails back and forth many times just to try to get the process followed correct.
And one of the things you can do when that happens is to make sure you include Angela in on that process, on those transfers, so that she's aware of that's happening also, because she also talks at the national level in her meetings with them. And we just had a conversation at our last Land East meeting on that very issue, because they seem to be mainly coming from one area that we've seen this happening in. And we understand there was a new person, but we did discuss that. So hopefully you'll start seeing some improvement on that, where they're not trying to bypass that system. And sometimes the member just takes it upon themselves, and we just kick them, just kick them back.
Thank you for that. I'll copy Angela on the future comment communications with that.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for everybody for your time.
Anybody on Zoom want to make? All right, final training session for the winter meeting is going to end.
Rick,
Thank you all
was
for
that-
attending in person.
Rick,
Go
is
ahead.
that your smiling face trying to stay in front of the camera there?
I'm
Out
trying
from
to
the
stay
camera?
out of it. It's kind of scary if I turn my head like that. Some distortion.
I just wanted to make sure that was you. I saw peeking around there.
That was me. All right. This is recorded. The morning meeting was recorded. So if you get bored someday, maybe you can log in and watch it all over again. So hopefully next meeting in spring, I guess we'll still have a hybrid link, but it'll be more in person. So we're getting back up to speed here. All right, I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you all.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.